Sup everyone, I'm Paul Clark. Sup Paul, welcome to the channel. As you may know, I'm an adventure paddleboarder, which means, among other things, I run rivers on paddleboards. That's me. And when I'm not down by the river in a big white van or next to a busy road, I'm documenting the experiences, traveling, and sharing the information and content with you. Thanks for being a part of the journey. Today I'm in beautiful British Columbia at a family cabin on Kootenay Lake. And during this heat dome of 2021, the infamous heat dome of 2021, it's a good time to answer a single question. Can you leave boards on a hot beach without having them blow up? How much is too much? Will they blow up? Let's find out. How much air will build up in these boards left unattended on a hot beach? Just as an asterisk, I'm using Hala boards. And Hala boards are a little bit different than what you might be used to if you're buying boards at a box store. So I'm not expecting anything negative to happen, but I am curious to see how much pressure will build up in the boards as the day progresses. Let's inflate some boards, blow up some boards, as they say. We're doing two boards. Both are 15 PSI. One's the carbon straight up, and the other is the all-water Haas. A little different technology in both boards, but that shouldn't affect how the heat will be developing within there, the pressure. Oh, and by the way, if you own an inflatable paddleboard, you should also own a 12-volt pump that will entirely inflate the board for you, with you doing nothing more than pressing a button. So it's a gauge that will allow you to know how much it is, press it and go. I set it to 15 PSI. Hala recommends that you inflate it to 15 PSI. That's not a whole lot of pressure in the boards anyway. A lot of other brands require a lot more, which means a lot more pumping. Why pump when you can paddle? It's already hot. Whew. Not even 10 o'clock and the beach is already measuring 115 degrees Fahrenheit. It is warm, it's sweaty. I'm just gonna leave these boards sitting here like the other boards that have been sitting here for the last week, but experimenting with two. I've started the day with them inflated to 15 PSI. I'm not gonna touch them, I'm just gonna test the pressure. First test, it's about 11:30, about an hour and a half since I laid the boards out. Let's see how the boards are. So my little REI thermometer is maxed out at over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, over 50 degrees Celsius, and it's just been laying on the board. It's hot. I'll be using this Trib solar digital valve gauge. It's gained 1 pound of pressure in the last hour. I'm at 16 PSI. 15.8. So these boards have been on the shore for now over an hour and a half, and the pressure has increased about 1 PSI. What I do know is that when you put the boards on cold water, you'll lose pressure really quickly. Often when I'm on the river, I'll notice that I'm losing 2 to 3 PSI within about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna take this NAS, the carbon 12.6 touring board, the Hala NAS, to see how quickly it takes to lose pressure. It's at 16.1 right now. So that's interesting. I was out there for less than 5 minutes, and in that time, the temperature, the PSI in the board dropped almost 2 pounds. I started at 16.1, now it's holding at 14.2. So it drops PSI much faster than it builds, at least with these Hala boards. Why Hala? What's so special about these Hala boards? It's a few things. First, it's the sourced PVC that's so durable. It's the foundation of these boards. Second, it's the factory welded seams. They're bomber. And third, it's the woven drop stitch. The drop stitch is what keeps the PVC from ballooning, expanding. And I have to tell you, my first paddleboard was a cheap inflatable that I got for less than $100 at an REI garage sale. It was warped, it was weird, but it got me into paddleboarding, and that's the most important thing. But it wasn't a Hala, I'll tell you that. Don't leave your paddles exposed to the sun. Don't leave your paddles in hot cars. Keep your paddles as much in the shade when not using them as possible. The sun will destroy fiberglass. The sun will destroy your carbon paddles. Seriously, seriously, keep your paddles in the shade when you're not using them. And also of note, those paddle boards all are deck into the sand, and that's to preserve the deck pad. UV damage is a real thing for paddle boards. Keep them out of the sun as much as you can. Remember, today is just an experiment. About 1:30, it's been a couple of hours since I've checked the boards last. I'm about to head down to the beach and look at them now. 15.9. 16.1. All right, it's almost 4:30. The temperature is starting to drop. It's 35 degrees Celsius, about 95 Fahrenheit. So the experiment is coming to a conclusion. I suspect it's not gonna be much of a change from when I looked at it a couple hours ago when it raised only about a pound PSI of pressure. So I suspect it's gonna be around that 16 still after the heat of the day. 15.9. 12.2? 12.2 doesn't make any sense. All right, the results are in after a long day, baking in the sun on a beach that was over 50 degrees Celsius with an ambient temperature of over 35 degrees Celsius. The boards didn't blow up. I didn't think they would. I did find it interesting that they really only gained about a pound of pressure, a pound PSI. So the result of that is not the heat, not the elevation gain or losses, but the product of a quality board. To be as rigid as you need, inflate your Hala board to 15 PSI. On a cold water paddle day, inflate it to 17 or 18 so that when you touch the water, it'll be at 15 PSI. Those boards that are made with cheaper material or that require 18 or 22 PSI just to start, you're probably gonna see more catastrophic failure in those boards than a Hala. So in conclusion, I like my Halas, and I probably won't leave them in the sun like this again, just to protect from UV. The UV is the real killer in leaving your boards in the sun. All right guys, if you like this content, please let me know. Comment if you have questions or if you have experiments about pressure, PSI, heat temperatures, other brands. Reach out, put comments in. If you've experimented with this before with different results, let me know about that.
That's better. See the audio?